What did they find? His work can be summarized in this equation. I don't know if he actually used this equation or I sort of summarized it that way. I've forgotten now. H is equal to P plus E plus M. H, happiness, is P, E, M. Three things. We'll see what are they. That's what happiness is composed of, if you analyze happiness, the sources of happiness. The first, he says, is pleasure. Yes, when we want to be happy, when we are seeking happiness, our first instinct is to go for pleasure. The cookie which I like, my favorite coffee, or a walk in the park. I mean, something that is pleasurable for me, my favorite, or nowadays most of all. Yeah. Especially the younger people, focus there all the time. That is an immediate source of pleasure, and we'll see why it is so. The source of pleasure, that gives me happiness, and it does. But the thing is, it gives me very little happiness, and it is very transient. The first lesson that we learn in economics class, diminishing marginal utility. Each unit of consumption gives you less and less and less utility. Microeconomics, the first lesson you learn. So it's not that more and more pleasure will give me, more and more units of consumption will give me more pleasure and more happiness. No, unfortunately, one problem about pleasure is it's a downward curve. It's a diminishing marginal utility. So the more units of consumption, I have one cookie, makes me happy, gives me pleasure. So 2 cookies should give me more pleasure. Well, it does, but not as much as you would think. 3, too much. 4, absolutely not. 5, it's torture. It becomes negative. It becomes, it's no longer pleasurable. It's painful after some time. So it is diminishing. Second, it is transient. It goes away very fast. Any kind of pleasure, especially sensuous pleasure, it goes away. Even things like sophisticated pleasure, like art, music, art, which we enjoy. We have to train ourselves to enjoy that. That also, it goes away very soon. It is very delicate. It's very perishable. Yes, let's put it that way. Very quickly it goes away. Third, it is habit forming, addictive. The same thing will not give you pleasure all the time. The toy which gave me pleasure, it was my whole life when I was a little kid. Second day did not give me that much pleasure. Third day, very little. Next year when I went to a higher grade, the toy was forgotten. Today I don't even remember the toys that I had. So, which was dearer to me than life, those toys. They're gone. So, habit forming, we need newer and newer varieties and more of that. Whatever it is that gives me pleasure. And so, it is problematic. I always quote Somerset Maugham, the great English novelist, who said, if you chase pleasure single-mindedly, you will find very soon nothing pleasing anymore. So, if single-mindedly, if you're partying and trying to be happy, what are you trying to do? Happy. And what are you becoming? Unhappy. Single-mindedly chase pleasure, you will find nothing pleasing anymore. You get sick of it. Luckily, there is a better source of happiness. Go back to Seligman's equation. H is equal to P plus E plus M. P is pleasure. Seligman says a much better source of happiness is not pleasure, but engagement. Engagement. That's what E stands for. Activity. Especially work. He says if you are among those lucky few who enjoy what you do for a living, then you are very lucky, because that gives you much more happiness than mere pleasure itself. Think about it. There are adults in the room. Most of us here are adults. Maybe a few are teenagers, and nobody's a kid maybe. As adults, most of your week, most of your day, most of your week, most of our time is taken up by work, by activity, not by pleasure. How much of it is pleasure seeking? Very, very little. Most of it is by some kind of activity. And if we get happiness out of that activity, often that activity is drudgery. It's a burden. It's a duty. Vivekananda calls it the scorching sun of duty. It has to be done, unfortunately. No. If it is a source of happiness, then you are very lucky. And luckily, engagement, work, activity is a source of happiness. Seligman says, not Seligman, another positive psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he says, surveys were done on people, when are you most happy? Most people would say, when work is over. That's what we think about work. After I finish my work, I'll be happy. When I go on the weekend, I'll be happy. When I go on vacation, I'll be happy. But Csikszentmihalyi said the studies show something very interesting. Actually, when people are engaged in work, if you survey them at that moment, they actually report high levels of satisfaction. When you're engaged at office, or you're working at home, maybe in kitchen preparing a meal, or doing your assignment in school, at that moment, if you're asked, how do you feel? You're busy. You feel, okay, I feel good. If our faculties are challenged and engaged, you feel good. You're engaged, doing something meaningful, working step by step towards an achievable goal. You feel good. That there is a goal here which I can achieve, but it will push me. I have to push myself. I have to strain myself. But I know what to do step by step, and I can achieve that goal. And I do it day after day after day. That's work. So work does give happiness. Engagement does give happiness. And that's why people who don't like the work they do, but you can still get happiness from engagement. That's why people take up hobbies, pastimes, games. Notice, work, it may not be pleasant. Sometimes work is unpleasant. Even a sport, it may not be pleasant. It's much more pleasant to lie down on your couch and be a couch potato than to go out and play. That's a lot of hard work, especially in the Dallas heat. Oh, by the way, I didn't know this is a soccer city. Now it's a World Cup city. I didn't know that. The city is busy with the World Cup. So, how much joy is there? Who gets more joy? The one who watches the game on TV or the one who's playing on the field? The one who's engaged. And not only that, you don't have to be a world-class football or soccer player. You can just go out and play. You can be a very poor player also. But actually going out and playing gives you a different kind of happiness than sitting back and watching a World Cup match on television. That gives you a lot of excitement. But more than that is when we are actually out there and playing our poor little game, no match comparison to professional stuff, but still gives me fulfillment. That's the difference between passive consumption and engagement. So engagement, actually doing it, playing a game, music, dance, when we do it actually, no matter how poorly, it gives fulfillment. That's what Seligman said. Achievement in the world, some kind of achievement in the world, gives happiness and more lasting happiness than pleasure. Okay. Now there is something more, even greater. Seligman found in his studies the greatest source of happiness in the world. He calls it meaning. Something worthwhile, which you consider to be worthwhile. Maybe often it is something beyond ourselves. When we expand beyond ourselves, not just, pleasure is selfish. It's almost entirely selfish. Activity can be a little less selfish, but still self-centered. Activity, work, a game, a pastime. But something beyond the self, a selfless engagement, that gives meaning, that automatically gives meaning. A lot of people find it with children. That's why people, Swami, you don't have kids, you're not married, you don't know what you're talking about. Kids are a lot of work. It is true. It is true. But parents also report high levels of fulfillment from just having kids and raising a family. So that's the basic source of meaning in life. That's why people love children. But that's just the beginning. When you expand beyond my own self or my own family, that limits, that biological limits, then a greater source of meaning sets in. Doing something for the community, doing something for people at large, people who need it, that gives a source of meaning. Or it may not be service, may not be other people. It could be science. It could be art, something you pour yourself that gives a source of great meaning to your life. And meaning in life is a greater source of happiness. Very great source of happiness. Often the things which give meaning in life may not be pleasant at all. Can be very difficult, can be very hard. So Seligman's equation, H is equal to P plus E plus M. And remember, they are not equal. P is a little bit of happiness, E is a little more happiness, M is a lot more happiness. And so this is one takeaway.